our family and share a love for each other that will always be cherished. Charlie is Pop to Emily and Alex and Ivy and Cole. He is a father-in-law to Sarah and Jenna. He loved his grandchildren and enjoyed every second he spent with them. He was also goddaddy to Lindsay, to Ryan and Katie. He was so proud of you and loved you so much. The three of you brought him much joy and happiness. Charlie and I met May of 1997. A mutual friend of ours, Billy Shepard, many of you know him, had been trying to introduce me to Charlie for about 3 years. I finally gave in and agreed to meet with them while they were on a golf trip in Myrtle Beach, where I was living at the time. I thought to myself, a pilot and a golfer that has come to Myrtle Beach. This will probably be a wasted night. But it was the beginning of a beautiful and loving relationship that lasted for over 23 years. Charlie showed me the world, literally. We traveled to Austria, Prague, Germany, Ireland, Italy, France, and to many of the 50 states in the U.S. He was adventurous, and we did everything together, from fishing in the Atlantic to fishing in Alaska, to golfing, which I was never really good at, to hiking in Colorado, traveling the world, entertaining friends and family in our home, and the best of all, he shared his passion of flying with me. He made sure his 3 children and grandchildren were shown that the world was much further than their backyard. I was reading through a memory book that I had asked Charlie's 3 children, their spouses, and the oldest grandchildren to send to me their favorite memories of their dad and their pop and their father-in-law. The memories of fishing in Alaska, Lake Hills, the Big Atlantic, golfing in Waynesville, Clemson, and Snee Farm, flying with him in his airplane, camping, the old white truck, eating ice cream with his grandchildren, travel adventures to Yellowstone, Mexico, Hawaii, skiing in Colorado, marriages, engagements, family gatherings in the mountains were evident of how Charlie played a big part in the lives of his children and grandchildren. But the one thing that stuck out to me in all those memories was that they knew they were loved by their dad, their father-in-law, and their grandfather. The great American Christian evangelist Billy Graham once said, "A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society. The definition of a dad, a son's first hero, a daughter's first love. You are the treasures of his life. His passion was flying, but his love was his family, his children, his grandchildren, his daughters-in-law, his son-in-law, his brothers, his sisters, his nieces, his nephews, and I know in my heart he loved me." Charlie was very generous with his time and his money. He loved spending time with family, friends, and he had a lot of friends. But he was also a giver to help others. It was evident in the many salute to the shore flying parades he participated in to honor our military on the 4th of July, one of the hottest days in the world, flying in a small airplane. The angel flights he flew to help patients get medical care free of charge. Taking young boys from the boys' home up in his plane to pique their interest in flying and telling them they could do anything they wanted to do if they had a passion for it. I can remember on several occasions we would be in a restaurant and he would pay for a soldier's meal and quietly walk out of the restaurant, never letting them know who had paid. He would always go up to them and thank them for their service, but he never told them that he had bought their lunch or their dinner. He was generous to his family and his friends. He was loved by everyone who knew him. He was faithful, a man of integrity, loyalty, gratitude, honesty, trustworthiness, and respect. He was very proud to be an American. He did not tell you how to live. He lived and let you watch him do it. But there was one side of Charlie everyone knew. He was stubborn as a mule. Right, Wanda? thought he was right, even if he was not, there was no convincing him otherwise. I remember being at the airport in Mount Pleasant one Saturday. We always hung out there on the weekends, and Charlie was working on the airplane. He had disconnected some wires while he was working on it and was having problems getting it to start. One of our pilot friends was an electrical engineer and was there along with 4 or 5 others. As all pilots do when somebody's working on their plane, everyone stands around trying to troubleshoot what the problem is. Tommy said to Charlie, "You know you have those wires switched." Well, that was the start of a conversation in true stubborn Charlie fashion. "No, I don't." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do, Charlie." To the point that Charlie bet Tommy $20 that he had them on correctly. He tried to start the plane and it would not start. So Tommy challenged him and said, "If you reverse those wires, I guarantee you this plane is going to start." Reluctantly and with some many choice words and saying, "You are wrong, Tommy. I know exactly how those wires came off and I put them back in exactly the same place." To prove Tommy wrong, Charlie switched the wires, and the look on his face when that plane started up was priceless. It was the hardest $20 bill he ever gave to anyone. When Charlie bought a small airplane, he wanted me to learn to fly in case I needed to land it. I was petrified of small airplanes. So he bought me 2 flying lessons to get me started. He did not ask me if I wanted the lessons. But he called me one night and told me he had arranged for me to take lessons from the colonel who had a flying school at the airport. I said, "Who is this person?" He told me he was a retired Air Force colonel. He was 82 years old, a man with a lot of experience. I said, "He's 82 years old? What if he dies while we're up there flying?" Charlie said, "Well, I guess you're going to learn how to land that plane real quick." It took me a while, but I continued flying lessons and earned my wings. It was the start of many adventures of flying across the country together and sharing so many memories that will never be forgotten. Thank you, Charlie, for pushing me to go beyond my fears. It was truly worth it. Our Yorkie Abby was his faithful companion, and he loved her so much. I remember when I said I wanted a dog. He said he was totally against having a dog in the house. Not going to do it. We lived in the perfect place to have a dog at the time. We had a fenced-in backyard, a great neighborhood to walk in, but he did not want me to get a dog. Well, I can be stubborn too. I found Abby on a rescue site, and I told him I was going to look at her. He fussed and complained and told me all the reasons we did not need a dog, and after much discussion, he said, "Okay, I'll go look at her with you." I will never forget that day. When we got to the house, the lady brought her out. She crawled up in my lap. He saw how much I adored her, and sure enough, he bought her for my birthday. On the way home, he said, "I hope you don't expect me to walk her." Once she crawled in his lap when we got home, he was hooked. He loved her with all his heart, stubborn but compassionate. What are the things we will miss about Charlie the most? His kind heart, his loyal friendship, his generous nature, his opinion, whether you agreed with him or not, he was going to give it to you. His drive to never give up to the end. His encouragement to be the best you can be no matter what you do. But most of all, we will miss his presence in our lives and the love he gave us all. In his last years, he had many challenges, but he faced each day with unparalleled hope and optimism. Sorry. I love this quote by Patrick Swayze. "When those you love die, the best of you The best you can do is honor their spirit for as long as you live. You make a commitment that you are going to take whatever lesson that person was trying to teach you and make it true in your own life. It's a positive way to keep their spirit alive in the world by keeping it alive in yourself. I will always honor Charlie's spirit and his love. He was the man I loved for so many years, and he taught me so many things about myself and about life. For that, I will forever be grateful. In loving you, we are gifted with memories that will never die. And from the Hebrew proverb, say not in grief, he is no more, but live in thankfulness that he was. The reality is we will grieve forever. We will never get over the loss of our Charlie, but we will learn to live with it. We will heal. We will rebuild our lives around the loss we have suffered. We will be whole again, but we will never be the same, nor should we, nor would we want to be. So I leave you with this poem that was one of Charlie's favorites by Pilot Officer John Gillespie McGee, Jr., titled High Flight. Oh, I have slipped the surly bounds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue. I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace where never lark nor evils flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, I put my hand out and touched the face of God. You have gained your forever wings, Charlie. Fly high, my love.
Now the end is near, and so I'll face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. Lived a life that's full, I've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all. and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Yeah.